Hello, hello, hello. It is me, Karma, aka McKenna, aka other names that shall be known later. I am currently dressed and ready to go to my first pole class later. So I'm kind of gonna start the video there, and then we'll go from there tomorrow. Two, three. You're going to detach from that body weight, turn, and start your walk. Step, step, drag, step, drag. When you place your right foot down, you're going to start your dip step. And then your pirouette. And then, facing the mirror, you can start your bunny slide. And bring it back up. Or do the alternative if you want. So, all the way through, it'll be body weight, pole walk, dip step, pirouette, bunny slide. And do it again. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. You'll start your walk. Drag, step, dip step, then your pirouette. It's like really, really lonely out here. It's like a echo chamber desert. Crazy. Hi. It's Karma. How are you guys doing? Good, good. That's great. I'm doing good as well. So today I'm going to start off with a poem that I wrote this week. I haven't titled it. Okay. Ask me if I'm black or white. I'll tell you I don't know. Ask me if I'm Latin American. I'll tell you I never joined the club. Ask if I'm from an island. I'll tell you I've never seen where the land meets sea. But most of all, I'll tell you I'm nothing at all, because that's what they told me. You'll ask me about my culture. I've been born in alienation of the structure. Ask me about my father. Ask me about my mother. They are sheep without true names, lost in a desert. I'm one, and I am all. I'm all in one. I called out and only found myself calling back. The shades of my soul are the only thing I know, not the shades of my skin. I'm blind to the possibility that I may be. Let me say it. Let me say it's not impossible. I might have went into another poem, but it might have made a little bit more sense than I realized. So today I'm wanting to cover a few things about a specific part of the journey, you know? So I want to talk about the loneliness of becoming. So the reality I had been living in was dead. The girl that lived in it is once and for all dead too. This girl created a liminal reality where she could dream and nothing presumably could hurt or harm her. But she was alone, after all. The characters of her life were a bunch of almost what ifs and could have beens, while she waited patiently for their arrival that never came. Now I am back where she left off last year, full circle, only with more knowledge and integration on my belt as well as precision. So, that's where we're at. So last year, I was exactly where I am at right now. However, I fell into a lot of the common traps. And the one that I fell into last year was the trap of loneliness, which is a big part of great change. Great change usually can be very, very lonely when you're making so much new things happen in your life. And I fell into the trap of loneliness, and something that can stem from loneliness is desperation. And that's where I was at. I was very lonely, very depressed, and it stemmed into being desperate to grasp onto connection, which initially obviously led me to the wrong connections and people who really, really did not have my best interests at heart. So now, with the awareness I have, I raise this question to anybody who may be on the same path. Will you stay in the lonely phase, remaining patient for you and your higher self? Or will you choose people or things that don't align to fill the perceived empty space or void? So it's very quiet in my reality. It's very perceivably quiet. And the silence can be what scares somebody who's trying to change the most right off the bat. Last year, when I was in this silence, I lost my mind. I lost my mind. I thought I needed to rush to everything that I wanted. And now I'm back full circle, and I am back to the things that I wanted last year. However, I have more awareness, more intelligence, and more know how on how to get there, more confidence in myself. And I know that this time around, I'm not going to choose to fill the empty space with low quality things, because that ended up making me feel more alone, making me feel more isolated, making me feel more um, taken advantage of. And since I'm at my age now, at my youth now, and I've learned so much already, and I still have more to go, I have the choice. I know that I have the choice now to decide who gets to be in my life, what gets to be in my life, and what situations I can put myself around or want to put myself around, or what risks I want to take. And I've came so far to where I cannot take the risk of putting myself back in desperation of filling the void or filling the gap with people who don't actually fit there or are not meant to be there. So that's my choice. If you see this, it might take you a few times to get around to that choice, but eventually, if you really, really want to change, if you really, really want to be something, if you really, really want to make your life your dream life, you'll eventually not settle for filling the void. The void must, with great change comes great loneliness, and the void must stay empty so it can be filled with the right things. Rather, you can't rush the void, you can't rush the empty space. It's not empty like there will never be anything there. It's empty as if your life is in a waiting period, literally a transition period. But now I'm at a place where the reality I was living in is completely dead. Now I'm in a quiet place. And for my better health, it's good. For my betterment, for what I want, it's good. Even if it feels kind of weird that it's so quiet. Because I'm not dead, but the reality that I'm moving out of is. So It's taken me a long time to realize if you are different or unique in any way, weak minded people are going to pre decide how they feel about you before they even know who you are. They look at you almost as if you are the most dangerous animal, most vicious predator in the room, when in reality, you are the king of the jungle or queen of the jungle. It's socially intimidating to be around someone who doesn't choose to make decisions based on blending or fitting in rather than standing out and being who they are. I used to assume I used to assume that we lived in a world where we have enough knowledge where this didn't matter. But in the long run, they'll end up following you as the example even if they judge it now. They will try to perceive anything you do as wrong to make themselves comfortable. They will try to isolate you as the problem because it makes them feel better about never changing and settling for the crowd rules. However, I realized, amazingly, every time this happened, I ended up having an instant win after the interaction. I like literally every time, even if it was small or large, or it was just seeing how my reality was responding to me, both positive and negatively. I realized that every time this had happened, I ended up having an instant win or character development afterwards. I realized every time I decide to stand out and take a risk with what I say or what I do, even if externally people if it even if externally it makes the outside world uncomfortable, I directly win or affirm that I am who I say I am to myself, that I am that girl. So, I'm gonna I have three stories or three incidents of this happening this week. Make sure this is on. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So first was I was going to Goodwill to pick up some athletic wear or like some outfits for my first pole class and pole classes in the future. And as I was in line, there was these group of men going about talking about vintage things and in the vintage world, and we know, if you've been on the internet long enough or in the world long enough, we know that vintage and antique things have been recycled for decades now. Styles, antiques, knickknacks, whatever you want to call them, clothes, all of it. Vintage stuff never died. Vintage stuff never died. However, I I have a pet peeve, and maybe it's stupid, but I always hear older generations, be it 2 decades or more older, talk about how, oh, vintage things are coming back. Vintage things are coming back. All these kids love these things. They're coming back. Um, or the conversation when a older person approaches a younger person, like, oh, talking about music or talking about this. Oh, this was before your time. You don't even know this. I have a pet peeve about that because younger generations grew up with the internet. The internet is a almost nearly unlimited archive of everything that has ever happened in history, including fashion, including technology, including anything vintage. So, I think that it's not a very respectful approach to approach a younger person as if you know more. I think that to actually connect with people, you need to approach them as another human being rather than you're older, I'm younger. Because in this day and age, with the technological advances we have, and all these kids growing up with the internet, there's going to be kids younger than me that know things I don't know. There's going to always be somebody who knows something you don't know. Even if you're old and you grew up in a certain time, there's probably things from that time you don't even know happened, or culturally, pop culturally, fashionably, you didn't know that happened because it wasn't what interested you. But older people always have this thing where they feel the need to feel like they have when they get older, if they haven't found like who they really are, the way that they find like self-worth is by feeling or believing they have something to teach younger people, by them not knowing this or them not knowing that. So as these men were talking, they were holding up the whole line over this vintage violin and talking about, oh, if it's $1 million, you should cut me at 100K, or talking about this vintage guitar and like, oh, this is coming back. And they were holding up the line, and I just wanted to get through the line. And maybe that was a little bit crazy. Who cares? Like, why are you holding up the line, having a trivial conversation? I just feel like conversation should have more common sense. I feel like younger people. I feel like a lot of American senior or older generations, they don't realize that younger people traditionally took care of older people because there was mutual respect there. And American older people from America have this sense of entitlement that even if they were an awful person to everybody in their life, they believe that once they get old, they should be taken care of. Though, and I don't think that older people realize that historically, not every person, just because they gain their wrinkles and stripes, was meant to be the storyteller of the tribe or the wisdom sharer, or not just because you're old. Not every old person is built or designed or capable of sharing wisdom. But we have this sense of everyone culture that makes them believe that that's what they're supposed to do. But I don't think every old person is cut to give wisdom to the younger people. And so when I went up to the checking line, or when I was about to come up, there was this older lady behind me. Coming back to people will already pre-decide how they feel about you. This older lady asked people who obviously weren't in line if they were in line. She saw that I was in line, or ignored that I was in line. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm in line. And I hear her say under her breath, obviously. I was like, okay, clocked, noted. That's something that I've been doing a lot with myself. Instead of dwelling in these moments, I just say noted, checked, filed. I file it in my little mind filing cabinet, and I do my very best, which is mostly good, to move on. Anyways, I get up to the cash register. I go to this Goodwill all the time, so the worker and me, we've seen each other's face. We've had friendly conversation. I shared my opinion. I said, I just don't understand why older generations have this need or desire to believe that younger people don't know anything about decades or vintage things. We grew up with the internet, and the internet is an archive that literally tells us everything, or what they know. We could know everything that they knew in less than an hour or two. That might be an exaggeration, but it's just like, why do we need to base conversations with younger people off of those things instead of connecting with them? And I was like, and then I ended it with, I feel like we need to have more common sense around the conversations we have, and especially older people amongst younger people, because I think that it's vital that, regardless of if you're meant to be a storyteller as an elderly person or whatever, I think that it's vital that younger people and older people connect on a real note, rather than a forcing of trying to validate your existence in your older years as a wise man. Not everybody's a wise man, so let's get over it. And so I ended the conversation with, I just feel like we need to have more common sense around the conversations we have, because it matters. What you say matters. What you do matters. It matters. I walk off. I say, have a good day. Bye, dude. See you later. This lady talks behind my back. Instead of saying what, as I'm walking away, I hear her saying, man, I just don't even know what to say to these younger people anymore. You can't even say, hi, sweetie, how you doing? This, and that. And the thing is, first of all, this lady is older. trying to placate her olderness, I don't know, or trying to play in her olderness, but she already lacks integrity because she wasn't able to say her opinion to my face. Two, I perceive that she already made her assumption about me. And then three, since I shared an opinion that was outside of what she wanted to believe, she found a reason to validate her opinion on me. Okay, I'm back. Also with new insight. And I low key, some of the stories that I was going to tell, I'm going to fast track it because I just had a really good interaction with one of my customers that literally made my day and was meaningful and awesome. So I talked about that lady, and the direct win after that happened, after that lady talked behind my back because of my opinion, um, I got to work faster than I usually do. Like, I ended up getting lost and taking the wrong way, which ended up getting me here faster. It was like, I guess I saw it as a metaphor, so to say. It's like a win is a win. And anytime anybody talks behind my back, I guess I just I get something that's better. It's like, oh, I get to my destination faster and I win no matter what. Basically, is how I felt about it. So I also got told that I got banned from OnQ at the beginning of this week. Why? I'll tell you. Because one morning when I was getting gas before I was going to work, I was having a bad morning and I had to come back in 2 times to tell the young man that worked behind the counter to put my money on the gas tank. And the gas tank was just giving me so much problems. You know how things get a little bit antsy when you're having a bad day sometimes, depending on the circumstance. So I kicked the gas pump. I kicked the gas can. And not until a month later, after me going there several times and still getting my gas, did they tell me that I was banned. I drove away and I said, a win is a win. A win is a win. Yesterday, when I went to pole class, I I dressed up. I brought my heels. I brought dry hands. I came prepared, even though we ended up not needing those things for a beginner's class. I still came prepared and I still had a really good time. And I was so happy that I showed up for myself in that way, doing something that I've always wanted to do. And some of the girls, before we even started the class, were kind of comparing how they showed up to me. I came super prepared. And maybe we didn't need those things, but they were like, do we need heels? Do we need to be dressed up? Do we need this? Do we need that? And when they noticed everybody else came to the class, they they felt better about themselves because they didn't come as prepared as me, and they internalized the fact that I came more prepared than everybody else, but we didn't actually need it. But a win is a win. I came prepared and I wasn't embarrassed that I came prepared, because you should always come prepared even if you don't need those things. And I'm going to go back to that class, and all those things that I came prepared with, I'm going to end up needing them in the long run. So it was good that I come prepared and I got an idea of what I'll be working with. So the customer that just came in was a really cool dude. He was shopping for his wife and him because they just got a babysitter for the first time in 3 years. And we just had a really good conversation about growing up in hard times and becoming successful later in life and being able to live the life you want and to make choices that benefit you in the long run, and fuck what everybody else says. Take it as a compliment. He said, when I told him those things, he said, take it as a compliment. It means you're doing something right. A win is a win. A win is a win. And I that made me realize that my life, I'm winning no matter what. I'm winning no matter what. And I'm happy to see what comes next. So, one cannot exist without the other. To have great power also will attract both admirers and both haters. To do something big, to make big money, to make big change, to do choices that are bigger than average, or above average, or top notch, one cannot exist without the other. You can't have admirers and not have haters. With great power, it requires great periods of solitude that result in great periods of connection. When you have power or drive to do anything, solitude cannot, you can't have that without having a great period of solitude that ends up resulting in bigger connections, in a better life for yourself, in the life that you always wanted. Both have to exist. And with that knowledge, with that awareness, I'm not going to break this time. I am getting everything I want and more, everything that I need and more. This is my year. It's my year. And it shows in every single way. Every single way. I can't break down anymore. I can't cry or complain anymore, you know? I can't let that shit get to me, because every time that happens, every time those interactions happen, every time I take a risk to say what nobody else wants to say or to do what nobody else wants to do, I validate myself, my reality, and the universe, and the gods themselves validate me. And a win is a win. I win. You know what the intro song to Legally Blonde said? And I love it. I love it. It said, I'm in the race, but I already won. And getting there can be half the fun. Don't you try to rain on my perfect day. Wise words. Wise words. All right, I think that's all that I have for today. And remember, if you are on the journey to become your truest self, or do anything that you want to do, it might feel like it's loneliness, and it might be, but don't let it get to you. One can't exist without the other. Hi, my name is Karma. Also, McKenna. And you're watching Social Exposure. Say hi.